June 20th, 2026. Well, I hope you all had a good Juneteenth yesterday. Oh, well. But at any rate, um, before I get into the main topic here, I would like to make a couple of comments here because I know there's a lot of flap going on now about these Democrat socialists who are, Mondamis and Bernie Sanders are promoting in New York and so forth, where they're basically, it's in battle within the Democrats that try to look moderate versus those that really never just try to look radical. The question is, would their actual voting pattern be that much different if they were in office? I mean, that I've not noticed. I mean, and it's kind of interesting, even the so-called moderate Democrats, such as Spanberger and Virginia, turned out to be pretty radical as soon as they got in office, right? So don't believe it. The Democrats are all radical, and hopefully we can tag them all with this socialist label, which is kind of fair. But anyhow, so that's what's going on domestic front. And of course, we get on to what the main topic is here, which is the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran and the deal that we get with the Trump and the Iranians and so forth, and the Israelis and so forth. And it's kind of working out sort of like I suggested in my last video, I think. For one thing, I pointed out that I thought Hezbollah would do something to try to mess it up, and they did. It was Hezbollah that attacked the Israelis, not the other way around in this particular case. And then Israel retaliated, and I guess we're now back under a ceasefire as of this recording. But this is a Hezbollah action to try to mess it up, no doubt encouraged by the Iranians. So anyhow, but it looks like the basic deal is in place, is that basically the 60-day ceasefire, which will allow the free flow of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. And although the Iranians are trying to claim you've got to register with them to go through, I don't know if everybody's going to do that or not. Probably not. The real question is, are they going to break the ceasefire and open fire on a ship or not? I mean, our fleet has dropped the blockade, but it could be reimposed if they do open fire on these ships. So we'll have to, kind of watch that and see how it goes. And of course, there's a lot of discussion. The Democrats are really at their usual hypocritical best. I mean, they've been consistently voting against in a War Powers resolution to try to shut Trump's options down. And now that the deal isn't as good as it might theoretically be, all of a sudden they're complaining, well, it wasn't a good deal. Well, they didn't do one thing to help it. In fact, they did everything to hurt it. So no, they should shut their yap because they're full of nonsense. And of course, then on the hard line side, people are wanting something that just isn't doable practically without basically probably losing the election for sure, and maybe massively. So anyhow, at least that's my view on the subject, and I'll get into more detail here. But for the moment, I think we're on track to something, and it probably isn't going to be what was advertised, but we'll go through that in a little bit. If you like these videos, please give me a like, and you can subscribe and click the bell for notifications, or also follow me on Rumble, where I post there as well. So yeah, the way I see it is that, well, if you go back to my video at the very beginning, which actually I recorded before the shooting started, the night before, not knowing for sure what was going to happen then, I was fairly negative on a positive outcome for this and kind of was against it because of where we are right now. I mean, I didn't think that you would be able to completely crush the Iranians and get them to, quote, unconditionally surrender, because we're unprepared to put ground troops in there, and without ground troops in there, and I had a lot of ground troops, I'm not talking about a few, we're talking probably about all we've got, basically would have to go in there to try to fight this thing. And we're not going to do that. So the result is kind of a no victor, no vanquished concept. Now the Democrats are trying to claim that what Obama had was just as good or better than this, and that's nonsense. I mean, first of all, that would have already expired by now anyhow. So that is not. That means they'd be free to do all the bomb work they wanted unless something else was done. So it wouldn't be that much different than what's happened anyhow. If something was done, and if it wasn't done, they'd be on their way to making the bomb and all the missiles and everything. So Democrats really have no case. They're just yapping and appealing to people that don't want to face reality. But I think in a sense, then I guess there's certain people on the Israeli side that want something that I think they made a strategic miscalculation on what was really available to us or them, and that is, and they are going to have a little bit more problem on the Hezbollah front, I think, because of the fact that Iran is trying to use the threat to blow the whole deal up continuously with the situation that we've got going on with them. Um, the way I see it is that the key thing here is to get the oil flowing again and get the gas prices down. And it seems like things are moving in that direction now. Probably about a 50 cent per gallon drop from the peak during this whole thing. And of course, we got to get more and more oil out of there to do it. And there's a lot of interesting how the global market reacts. But I think that this will help us a lot in that period. And then we're going to try and negotiate a deal. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, right now, the Iranians have agreed to the idea that will give up on the nuclear bomb program and enrichment. Now, how this is all going to play out is going to be interesting. Supposedly, now we're going to have IEA inspectors in, and maybe even Americans along with them, to see what they're doing. And this idea is still that somebody, I guess the Iranians now, are going to excavate the sites we bombed last year and try to get the uranium hexafluoride out so that it can be properly diluted into something that isn't anywhere near bomb grade, probably down to reactor grade, I guess, or I don't know what. You need to have, of course, natural uranium hexafluoride to do that. I don't know if this is going to ever happen or not. If you can get it out of there, why not just ship the stuff in the enriched form out of the country? But we'll see what happens on that. And then there's this whole thing about the funds. I think a lot of this is sort of what they say, putting lipstick on the pig. The key thing is basically to get a deal where the free flow of oil can come out of the Strait of Hormuz without fees being paid to the Iranians. Now, they still think at the end of 60 days they can get a deal with fees on it, but I think that's going to be a non sequitur. But what I suspect may well happen, and this, being a little cynical here, is if the thing doesn't totally blow up, is that, and we don't want that to happen really, is that at the end of the 60 days, they probably won't have reached an agreement yet, and so probably what they'll do is to extend it for maybe another period of time, a month or maybe another 60 days. And the idea is to keep the ceasefire and the free flow of traffic through the Strait of Hormuz continuing all the way through the election. And that's maybe I'm being cynical, but to me that's the real idea. And if we really can get the deal on the bomb, that would be good too. Get that all done, and then as far as them getting money back, at some point we may have to give them something. But remember, we don't want to give all of it, even the $24 billion, too early. It needs to be kind of slowly, distributed if it's going to happen at all. It is their money. We've just confiscated, just like Europe has confiscated Russia's money in that conflict. They've confiscated a little bit more, though, about $300 billion. But at any rate, it's being impounded or whatever. So anyhow, I don't know why the Russians put all that money in those European banks before the thing blew up. Seems like it would have been smart to put it in Chinese banks or just bought a lot of gold or something. But at any rate, that's what they did. They made a few blunders as well. But getting to, so I don't, as far as the Gulf states giving them $300 billion, they're going to have to behave themselves to get the $300 billion, and that will be presumably not in the form of cash, but in the form of payments for work done, I assume. That is, don't give them the money to do with as they want, but rather, do things like rebuilding and reconstruction. Except that has a whole lot been destroyed other than basically their weapon production and military facilities and so forth. I mean, I'm sure there's collateral damage in the bombing campaign, and I guess that can be rebuilt. But as far as I can tell, and a few oil facilities were hit by the Israelis, I believe, when they got a little upset when the Iranians hit some sensitive targets in their country. But fundamentally, I think most of the attack was based on war-supporting industry. So that's going to be an interesting question as to how that plays out. But the key thing, I think, is just to keep the oil flowing until after the election, particularly, in order to get the gasoline prices down and sort of get the thing off to be the off of being the main topic of attention. Because that's the way I look at it. I don't see this as going to be a rah we win scenario, and I don't think it's necessarily a we lose scenario either in terms of the deal with Iran. I think the key point is that Iran's nuclear ability to make a bomb in the near term is pretty well out of the question for now, unless they get outside help from somebody, maybe North Korea. I don't know if North Korea would really do that or not. I don't know. North Korea is always hard to tell, but I doubt any of the other countries that could do it would. So that's kind of it. I think that the economy is kind of down because they've not been selling their oil. So now they'll sell their oil, they'll get money in. And remember, they were selling their oil during the bombing campaign period. It was only after the bombing ended and there was an initial ceasefire that was put in place that we then moved up with a blockade to stop them selling their oil. Prior to that, they were selling it throughout the entire period of the actual kinetic part of the war, right? So, anyway, so that's kind of the way I see this thing, and we'll see how it pans out. And of course, whether Hezbollah creates a disturbance enough that they start bombing it, the Iranians start attacking again. But in that case, we'll be back into a little bit of military action. And meanwhile, I guess we're keeping forces in place sufficient to be able to carry out action if necessary. So I think that's kind of the way I see the deal. It's the idea that the Iranians are really going to reform themselves is questionable, but perhaps we can get them out of the nuclear business for a while, and it'll be a while before they get back into, I think, full production of missiles. And that's probably a good thing. Meanwhile, during the ceasefire, I guess our side could get into production of missiles too, both defensive and offensive, because we've used up a lot of our ammo, and that's another reason for kind of dropping it when we did. I mean, we've done a lot of damage. There's no doubt about it. And but on the other hand, it still seems to me that most of the damage we did is, oh yeah, we blew up a bridge here or something there. But in general, I don't think most of it was two things that weren't really, that we at all want to help them rebuild. And that's going to be another issue, I guess, is going to come up. Do they start going back into missile production, and how is that going to be handled? So at any rate, that's kind of my take on this whole situation. We'll see what happens. Got to keep an eye on this one. And like I say, the possibility that the eruption between the Hezbollah and Israel could occur, because, Hezbollah might want to do that. And the problem is that, Hezbollah probably is the strongest military force in Lebanon. Well, other than maybe the Israeli force in southern Lebanon. But I mean, so, that's going to be, it's hard for the Lebanese government to really do much about. There's talk about disarming Hezbollah. Well, that's, defanging a rattlesnake. That's going to be very difficult to do. So that'll be all for this video. I'll be posting this on YouTube and Rumble as always, and the address of my social media accounts will be posted in the description below. So all for this time.